Hey everyone, I'm Joe Ferzoco.
I'm Chris Ferzoco, and today we're talking market statistics, and we're going to look at January of 2024 versus January 2025 today, Joe. And we're going to be covering the overall sales value of properties. We're going to be covering the number of properties that sold, meaning they actually went to settlement in the month of January. We're also going to look at the number of properties that came on the market. And ultimately, we're going to look at the sales price versus the list price.
All right, fantastic. Hey, and if this is your first time to the channel and you like what you hear, you like what you see, please subscribe below, tap that bell for instant notifications, and hit that like button so you'll be the first to get the most up-to-date market information down here at the Jersey Shore. Not that Jersey Shore, our Jersey Shore. So that's Ventnor, Margate, Longport, Ocean City, Summers Point, even EHT. Strathmere, Sea Isle, yes, Upper Township, Cape May Courthouse, Avalon, Stone Harbor, North Wildwood, Wildwood Crest, West Wildwood, Cape May, Diamond Beach, North Cape May Villas, and I think I said Cape May Courthouse again. Everything else in between. So please just subscribe below there and tap that bell for instant notifications. And of course, if you're looking to buy or sell, whether it's this week, next week, 6 months from now, or a year from now, please reach out to Chris or myself or anyone here at the Ferzoco Group or the team will be more to help you with your real estate experience here at the Jersey Shore. Again, whether you're buying and you're looking for some sort of a criteria put together for yourself or for all of your buying needs. If you're looking to sell, Chris and I can certainly put together a market analysis or an equity update on your property and really the best fit for you when it comes to selling. And of course, these market stats, they always help people make decisions because they see these great sale prices and now they're like, my God, I got to take care of it. So Chris, get us going with Ocean City.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, they see the great, they see the sale prices and whatnot. It's interesting. We get a lot of people asking us right now, like, what is going on in the market? What's happening? Or we'll be on the phone, and what's interesting, you have people say, oh, the market's absolutely terrible. And it's, where do you get that information from, right? So we're just trying to sort these things out for everybody, give you some information that we know that's coming directly to you from the multiple listing services and all the detail. In these videos that we cover in market statistics, remember, we cover all properties. So it could be vacant land, commercial property, duplex, multifamilies, beachfronts, bayfronts, efficiencies. You get it, right? It doesn't matter what it is. If it's been listed on the multiple listing service, it is included in these market statistics, Joe. And I'm going to start in Ocean City. So when you look at January versus January, we actually had about a 17% decrease from the January 24 to January 25. We actually went from 1.67 million overall value down to 1.38 million. So there was a significant drop there. So something to keep an eye on naturally as we progress through the rest of the year. As the number of properties that sold, we actually saw a 39% decrease in the number of properties that sold. That was actually down to 50 from 82 the previous year. And remember, that previous year, we were still riding pretty good high there. But, obviously, like I just mentioned, down 39%. As for the number of properties that came on the market, we actually, though, were plus 89%. Pretty huge number. We went actually from 47 up to 89. That's a great sign for Ocean City. Right now, we're sitting at about 250 total properties for sale. That's not a lot. That's not nearly enough inventory for the number, for the number of buyers that are out there. So seeing 89% jump, 89 properties come on the market and 89% jump, that's a really good sign. That's a great thing for Ocean City. So hopefully we'll see a really good rebound when we start looking at those February numbers in our upcoming videos. As for the overall sale price, the list price, we actually saw a pretty stagnant number. It was pretty much 97%. It was 96 plus something in 24. So look, I mean, those numbers are really kind of holding value there in Ocean City with regards to sale price to list price. Now, moving on down a little bit into Sea Isle City, this was pretty interesting. Sea Isle City actually only had a 2% drop. It actually went from $1.8 million down to $1.750 million in the overall sales price. We actually saw a 45% drop in the number of properties that sold. We actually went down from 22 all the way down to 12. And then we actually saw the same amount of properties come on the market this year as we did in 2024. So kind of a little bit of consistency there when you're seeing that. What's really interesting, Joe, is you always like to point this out. In 2025, though, they were getting 98% of the sale price versus 93% in January of 24. So what does that mean? Well, I know you dropped 2%, but it was a 5% increase in the overall sale price. So this price, you're actually plus 3%.
Right. You're starting at a better number.
Starting at a better number. Okay. So those numbers there for real positive for Sea Isle City. See some good signs in some of these towns. Consistency in Sea Isle. You saw big pluses on inventory for Ocean City. Some good signs there.
And it's funny you said big numbers. I noticed that as we move down the Parkway down into the Wildwoods and stuff, there seems like if there's a difference, it's a big number. It's either the same or it's a big difference in the number. So we look at your average sale price for January 2025 compared to 2024. So North Wildwood, your average sale price jumped 17%. $613,000 was your average sale price in January of this year. We look at the number of properties that sold in January of this year in North Wildwood. Big number, 40% increase. So we had 10 sell this past month. The number of properties that listed, that was a big drop. There was a 24% decrease in the number of properties that came on the market. We only had 26 come on the market in all of North Wildwood for this past January compared to January 2024. And of course, the list price to sale price, they stay the same pretty much. They were both sitting around 98, 96%. So no big difference there. You go into Wildwood, so your average sale price in Wildwood was $718,000 in January of 2025. Your average sale price in January of 2024 was $722,000. So almost identical, because when I first looked at the number, I was like, wow, that's a massive number for Wildwood in January. But it was the same thing in January of 2024. The number of properties that came on the market, pretty much the same. We had 34 in January of this year. We had 37 in January of last year. The number of properties that sold, we had 18 this year sell. We had 18 last year in 2024. So pretty identical, pretty mirrored when it came to Wildwood for this year so far, January 2025. The one difference was your average list price to sale price this year was 97%, and last year was 95%. And so you were also you ended up almost identical because you were 712, 722. So you ended up making another 1% this year. In the Crest, big difference. $524,000 was your average sale price in 25. That was a 32% decrease compared to last year, January 2024, which was $772,000. So pretty interesting there. The number of properties that sold in the Crest this past January, big drop, 44% decrease. We only had 5 properties sell. The number of properties that came on the market, good increase. We had a 16% increase, jumped up to 19 properties, so that's a good number there. Your list price to sale price both years, 25, 24 in January, was about 98%. So going into Sea Point Village, this was quirky because we always talk about, like with Sea Point Village, Diamond Beach, there's a very few number of properties that come onto the market. So when we look at the number of properties that came on the market and the number of properties that sold in January of 2024, and I'll get to the price, 24 and 25, it was the same, which is weird. And there was actually numbers, 3 and 4. 3 properties sold, 3 properties came on the market last year. 4 properties sold, 4 properties came on the market this year. Because some months we go through and it's like zero, big goose egg. Average sale price though was dropping about 6%. It was $745,000 in 24. January 2025 was $697,000. So a little bit of a drop there in the Diamond Beach, Sea Point Village area. Your list price to sale price was sitting right around 97, 98%, so that was good there. Cape May had some pretty big numbers too, Chris. The average sale price was $1.86 million in January of 25, which was a 25% increase, almost $500,000 difference between January of 24 and January of 25. The average sale price in January of 2024 was 1.39, and again, January 2025 was 1.86. So that's about a 25% increase. The number of properties that were sold, we had a 50% increase this year, 6 sold compared to 3 last in 24, and we had a 50% decrease. We only had 4 that came on the market. So not a lot of inventory right now in Cape May either. List price to sale price. This was a big difference though. This year in January, your list price to sale price is 85%. What's that mean? So your average list price was $2.17 million. Your average sale price was $1.86. So that's spectacular, but there's a 15% difference between the list price and the sale price as opposed to a 94% difference in 2024.
That's huge.
You made more money this year, but you got more based on your list price in 2024.
That's an interesting trend to watch.
Yeah, that makes sense there.
Yeah.
Because to that point, Chris, you start to look at, all right, are we starting to see these, we're shooting for the moon, Fantasyland price, list prices, and then reality sets in with buyers, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not paying that number, and you end up with, 15% off the list price, but a seller stands for it. All right, so that kind of takes care of like the the barrier islands and the islands, Chris. So let's jump offshore a little bit and go into the mainland.
Yeah, looking at Upper Township, we actually had a huge jump there. I mean, we went from 395 to about 865, so 119% growth there. I mean, and that happens with Upper Township. And next month it could be back down to 365. So it's just one of those. There's some pockets there where you have some higher price points that they do occasionally sell. So that's what we're looking at there. Now this here, very consistent number of properties that sold in 24 was 22. This year was 20. Okay, so just a very slight differential there. The number of properties that came on the market, this was interesting. There was a huge differential. It was actually about 62% difference. We had 24 come on in 2024. We only had 9 come on the market this year. Okay, and then the overall sale price to list price was actually 94%. It's actually down about 3%, which last year was sitting at 97%.
Okay.
Some factors in there, Joe, could just be, and I mean, we're making this video, the weather's just been a harder winter than we had last year.
Sure thing.
It was very mild. People were, out and about all winter. It's just not happening this year. So we are seeing some of those effects, if you will.
Good point. Yeah.
In Summers Point, we actually had a similar decrease. We actually dropped 26%. So we went from 444 down to 329. So we saw a decrease there in the overall sales value, or value, I should say. And the number of properties that sold, we actually saw a 72% drop. We went from 18 down to 5. So what's huge about that means is that 5, Joe, were the properties that went under contract before January. So really, when you look at that fourth quarter, there's only 5 sales. There's only 5 properties went under contract sometime probably between November and December. That's slow. That's not setting up the year on a good note for Summers Point. So that's why you had such a low number sitting at 5. As for what came on the market, we actually saw an 81% increase. We went from 11 up to 20 this year. So again, good inventory coming on the market there in Summers Point. Maybe starts to at least set the tone for a better spring or better February, March type of thing than what we saw in January. Overall sale price to list price, huge jump. We went from 89 to 98%. So we actually, that's a big jump.
Sure.
To see that. So yeah, you're starting significantly lower, but you did get, you were getting a stronger offers on your property there. Again, some variables that could be, attributing to that.
Yeah.
But, it's just, again, it's something to kind of watch. These numbers are really, you said they're big. They seem to be like all over the place.
Sure thing.
Coming into January. Not real surprising either.
And I think the one thing that we looked at and did notice when we did our semi-annuals for 2024, we took the first half of the year and the second half of the year. And that's, when we looked at the 2024 numbers, the first half of the year really carried the year. I mean, the second half, like when you were just talking about like with Summers Point and how like November, December, like you probably only had like 4 properties going under contract to only have 5 closed in January. So where that second half of 24, and we talk about it could be election, exhaustion, people just fed up with everything. It's like, okay, and that all falls into that second half of the year. But that second half was just such a lull in 24 that sort of that's that stepping stone into 2025. So we'll be curious to see what happens as we start to move into February and whatnot. So we'll wrap up January here. So North Cape May, your average sale price for January 2025, that would actually drop 26%. Your average sale price was $405,000 in North Cape May for January. We had a 50% increase in the number of properties that sold. We had 8 sell. We had a 30% decrease in the number of properties that came on the market, 7. So something to watch there. Not big numbers as far as inventory and the number of properties that came onto the market. Your list price to sale price, they both ran around 96, 95% for both January 2025 and January 24. And then we finally move into Cape May Courthouse. They had a 25% increase in their average sale price for January 2025. It was $455,000, which is fantastic. The number of properties that sold was the same as the year before. It was 11. And the number of properties that came onto the market, we actually had a 28% increase. Jumped up. We had 18 properties come on the market in Courthouse this past month, January 2025. And again, list price to sale price was sitting right around 96, 97% for both months of the year. So that sort of wraps up, Chris, taking January of 2025, comparing it to 2024. We touched on a little bit about, some thoughts, anything to wrap it up.
Well, you touched on it a couple of minutes ago. You mentioned about like the election and just that fatigue and all of that kind of stuff. And I think that is really bearing fruit here. I mean, these aren't really unexpected numbers. What I think was really unexpected for me when I was going through this exercise was just to see how the values in the primary home market had actually increased from January.
Sure.
And a lot of the shore homes or the shore towns actually had to decrease.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of like almost flip-flop from what I actually had expected when I was going through it. So,
Mm-hmm.
but again, I think we'll see a strong rebound here. I mean, the confidence that we're seeing in the market, just the people out there, conversations that we're having.
Yeah. The vibe is just totally different.
Yeah, and I think that you'll see that come out. It's just right now that rollover was just a tough one,
Yep.
and then but hey, that's what real estate is, and it happens.
Ebbs and flows, ups and
That's
downs,
right.
peaks and valleys. That's for sure. So again, if you're interested in selling and you want a little bit more of an in-depth market analysis on your specific property and neighborhood, not so much your town, please reach out. Feel free, give us a call, shoot us a text or an email. It'll be our pleasure to certainly help you out with that process. If you want a little bit more in-depth criteria for a specific town and a specific type of property, again, reach out to us. We can certainly set that up for you with either Chris or myself or one of our fantastic agents on the team here at the Ferzoco Group. So that's going to wrap it up for now. And so until next time, we'll see you at the beach.